Welcome to another episode of the Be Wise Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Y. Wright. So we are here today. But before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe. I can't even say the word. I say it so much. Like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. But we're going to get into this other crazy world, living with lefties. They seem to think that Black people like myself are dumb. They seem to think like that we are incapable of getting something as simple as a voter ID. I don't understand it, but Scott Jennings, my white buddy, I think I got a little crush on him, like a man crush, because he just goes in, and we're going to talk about him today.
President, if we want to continue,
You haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's
how?
The way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making
Poll
people
taxes?
have. That's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID.
Wait, are we actually saying that Black voters aren't smart enough, to figure out how to get an ID? Because I got many. I have a driver's license. I got a Veterans Administration ID. I got my real estate license ID. I got a birth certificate. I got a passport. I got my Social Security card. In fact, my whole family does. We have like this safe deposit box that we keep in our bedroom locked. Important papers, homeowners insurance, life insurance, bunch of IDs. My daughter needed to get a job at a school. Everything she needed was inside the box. So it's like, what are we doing here? What, we're smart enough to do that. It sounds like, to me, less inclusion, more like this massive condescending yikes. So Scott Jennings, he went on to CNN panel as usual on Newsnight with Abby Phillips, absolutely dropped the mic on this whole voter ID debate. It's not even a debate. You need to see the whole video. We're going to get into it.
Don't want us to believe they are okay with racism.
Wait, what voting rights is he taking away from Black voters?
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
the SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about.
How?
That is
How?
actually going to continue to
How?
disenfranchise
How?
overwhelmingly a lot of people of color.
How?
There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise Black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called
How?
it Jim Crow 2.0.
So
How? He keeps saying, how are we doing all these things to these Black people? How are we doing all these things to these disenfranchised people, these elderly people, these married couples, Black women, Black men? How? Poll tax. Poll tax. Like, that was a thing in their, late 1800s, early 1900s, where citizens had to pay a fee in order to vote annually. By 1964, they decided to abolish that. But the thing is, it really affected everybody, but it really was to suppress the Black vote. But now they're saying everybody has to have ID. This doesn't affect one group or another. Everybody can go get ID. Everybody can go get a driver's license or a passport or some type of state identification. I don't understand it.
This is the same president. If we want to
you
continue.
haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's
How?
the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making
Poll
people
taxes?
have. That's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID. The reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise Black voters.
Concern you that you're making all these claims? You've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of Black voters think we should show an ID to vote. 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that Black voters
The
are
SAVE
too
Act
dumb to
isn't
know
just,
what's good for them? I mean,
the
it
SAVE Act
sounds
isn't
pretty,
just about
it sounds pretty
that's
condescending
not
to
what
me.
I said. That's
the
not
SAVE
what I
Act
said.
is not
Three-quarters
just
of
about
Black voters
IDs.
That is not
don't want
right.
voter ID.
But that's
Be
not-
clear, the SAVE Act
That's
is
your
not
putting
just
words in my
about
mouth.
IDs. The SAVE Act is about
So what?
proof of citizenship.
So what?
It doesn't. I actually.
It also makes it very hard for married women who
I was just going to say, we
This is
talked
all
about this
young
before.
people, by the way.
It's not. It actually. There's a.
She mentioned married women. So I had this debate on Facebook. I also had this debate on my TikTok live. married women. So they say married women get married and they change their names and they don't have any identification to that matches their married name after they get married. Now, I'm a wedding DJ, so I know this is bullshit. Yes, a lot of married women, they spent a year planning the wedding. They get their marriage license. They have a great wedding. They have this beautiful reception. They send their license off to this, the county or town court or wherever, and they wait for it to come back with their new name. They think it's over. What else do I have to do? Well, honey, you need to go get your driver's license changed. You need to go get, if you have a passport, get that changed if you're going to be traveling. Most of the women who are going to go on a honeymoon outside of the country or abroad or on a cruise or something like that, they have that done well in advance. The people who are staying in a domestic, situation with just going to Disney or Texas or Austin somewhere for their honeymoon, they don't think about doing all the extra steps. But you got to do it. Oh, they go, well, women have to do it and men don't have to do it. Well, if you feel that strongly about it, have your husband do it for you. So we can keep making excuses for why we can't do this voter ID thing, but 83% of Americans or voters are voting for voter ID and you know what? I keep hearing the argument, there's less than 1% chance of voter fraud. There's nothing wrong with adding an extra layer of authentication onto voting because Joe Biden let millions and millions and millions of illegal immigrants crossing the border. And now we have people here who they can get a driver's license and they can register to vote somehow through relatives, through who knows how it can be done. Voter machines are all jacked up. We have problems. We've had problems since the Bush administration with voting machines. So let's add that extra layer of protection. It's not hurting anybody. If you think you're that disenfranchised, that this is going to hurt the voting outcome, I think you're 100% wrong. That's not going to happen.
An argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as...
I know, you think they're dumb too, don't you?
Young
that's the thing.
Nobody
I hear these arguments. I've heard Democrats all week long.
No, please don't. No, you listen.
There's a deflection from talking about long-term racism.
I'm actually
right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your.
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to figure out how to register to vote.
Yeah, he thinks that white people are smart enough. We're always talking about black people and what we can't do. It reminds me of, I never hear white people say it's going to disenfranchise the white community. Unless it's rural. And it's weird to me that they say it's going to disenfranchise the rural voter. But when I go to rural communities, all I see are red voters. Most of the rural communities throughout America, the heartland, the farmland, the rural areas throughout the country, they all vote Republican. They're all for voter ID. Ask any rural person in this country whether they're against voter ID. Now, what you're going to say is, but did you ask the rural black person? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but we have something called transportation. We even have additional transportation. You don't have to depend on a taxi cab anymore. You don't have to depend on the bus system anymore. We have something called Uber and Lyft. And yes, they are in rural communities as well. This whole topic today, this voter ID, it drives me nuts. It's supported overwhelmingly, like the majority of Americans. Why? Because we like knowing who's actually voting. It's simple, right? But the left is out here arguing that an ID requirement, something you need to buy beer or a pack of cough medicine, is somehow impossible. It's this huge hurdle for black people and women and married women. I said, if I ran a contest and I said, hey, the winner of this contest can win an all-inclusive, all expense paid for trip to the country of your choice. It must be international. It can't be domestic. It could be Greece, Spain, Italy, you name it. You want to go to Dubai? I'm paying for the whole thing. I'm not responsible for your TSA, your passport. You got to take care of all the things with customs and TSA. But I'm paying for it. I'm going to give it to you. How many people do you think was like, when is it? I'll go November, first week of November. Bet. They're going to take it today, and they're going to have everything they need come November. But they can't do the same thing to vote. Mind-boggling.
Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate.
50% of Americans have passports because they're going somewhere. My passport currently expired, so I need to renew my passport. But if I knew my wife and I was going to go abroad, or we were going somewhere where that required a passport, I'll just go get another one. It takes about 8 weeks or less to get a passport, but I don't need it. But I do have one. It's just expired. Most people are going to travel abroad, like brides who are going on international honeymoons. They will get a passport. They know their wedding's coming. They're going to take care of it. So, but right now, as of today, I looked up the statistic. 50% of Americans today have valid passports. 90% of Americans have valid identification, be it driver's license or state ID. So 10%, just get with the program. Let's get the game going. You know what you got to do by November.
Many women, a majority of women who change their names for marriage have to provide additional proof that they've changed their...
All they need to do is provide their marriage license and their ID. One showing their maiden name, one showing their new married name, or they can do the right thing and just go get the right ID. But if they forget and go, oh, shoot, I forgot to change my name, just take your marriage license to the voting polls. Now, 35 states currently have a voter ID requirement. So 15 states need to figure this out and get it together. Maybe you guys can talk to the 35 states that do. Oh, and then I did a TikTok live on the same subject the other day. And I asked, one guy was from the state of Washington State. Another guy was from, was it Ohio? It escapes me. I think it was from Ohio. I believe both of those are, I'll show you a map. I got a map. I'll look it up and say what states. I think it was Ohio and Washington State. And I said, hey, you guys both have voter ID requirements in your state. And I said, do you have a problem with it? And both people on my TikTok live, although they were against voter ID in my state, which is New York, they were totally fine with the voter ID in their own state. Why is that? I can't figure that out.
Names in order to register to vote.
I have heard Democrats make these same arguments.
Why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am. And
as
the substance
opposed
is this.
to making this about something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just about voter ID.
married
it's
women,
also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
That is not what...
Married women, black voters, rural people, all too stupid. They can't get an ID. This just makes no sense. They're just yapping.
So offensive. That is not what she said.
It's so offensive. Oh man, I gotta blow my face up. It's so offensive that Scott's saying, if you can't get an ID, you're pretty dumb. I have to agree. If you know you want to vote in November and it's February, and if they pass that this month or next month, you got 6 months literally to get an ID. You can't do that. Being on the right is just almost too easy sometimes because, you know exactly what buzzwords they're going to use. They always cry racism, disenfranchised. They're going to throw all these buzzwords at you. All you have to do, set the trap and just wait for them to walk right into it. It's insane.
Let me offer the proof. Let me offer the proof.
Are you saying they can't figure out how to vote? This is the exact same argument. It is a fact that a majority of Americans do not have passports. Many Americans, including white people, do not have their original birth certificate or access.
Why did she say including white people? Because Scott's white. She's trying to look at him and go, you're arguing for it, but even some of your own people, your own constituents don't have IDs. She's insane.
I didn't say what you said. Rural.
I would love to offer the proof of this.
Yeah, because that is also relevant. It doesn't matter to me where people live.
I guess I have a little more faith in rural
access?
America and married women than you do.
I don't know why you think you're making this about whether you're smart or not.
You're saying that they can't vote, that they can't figure out how to document to register to vote?
Access to documentation of proof of where you were born or proof of citizenship is an additional thing that people
because at
will
one
have
point
to do.
black people actually weren't even
I want to say something about a poll tax because, like, they're calling it this poll tax. She said that earlier. Quick history lesson, all right? Poll taxes were like literal fees used to block people from voting. Proof of citizenship is not a tax. We're talking about two different things. They're not even related. We're talking about basic documents, birth certificate, passports, driver's license. Someone yesterday threw the 24th Amendment at me. And I said, isn't the 24th Amendment about abolishing the poll tax? It has nothing to do with you going out and having to pay the $14 to get a state ID. They also tried to make the argument is that when they had the poll tax, it was about $1.50, $2, $1. Okay. In 47, let's say take the 1940s, $1.50 equivalent to today is about $13. Okay. So $1.50 could have been a lot for some poor families, particularly if you had more than one voter in the family. If you had a husband and wife in a family, both wanted to vote, they had to pay $26. That was a month of groceries for some families. I get it. This is why they abolished the poll tax. But today I'm saying get something that you actually have to have and use every day, like a driver's license or state ID or passports. Or you can't go in your local convenience store and buy beer, but you want it. All right, let's talk about the poor people who currently want public assistance. They want EBT cards. They want food stamps. They want Section 8. They want all the things and assistance that we provide. They even want what we call like programs to get your electricity reduced. You need identification to sign up for these programs. Birth certificates, passports, driver's license. You need these things. These are like basic life rafts, basic life jackets to live these days. It's not like, you walk on a boat, you'd be like, where are the life rafts? Over there. Where are the life vests? Over there. Well, in your safe deposit box is your driver's license, is your birth certificate. And if you know you don't have it, damn it, go get it. We're all capable of getting these things. This is not a poll tax. If you can't put any extra effort to get an ID, then maybe you're too dumb to vote. Maybe you're too dumb to even be ready for civic duty. You don't need to vote. I don't want you to vote because you're stupid.
Oh, wow. It's
a barrier.
It is a barrier.
This is exactly.
Do you have your original birth certificate?
Yes.
Okay.
But at one point, black
does
people were not
everybody
even
that you know have their original birth certificate?
Everybody that I know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
but I know where mine is. And I know where my kids are.
There are elderly people in this country who are 80 years old and they haven't seen their original birth certificate in decades. They would need to.
Okay. Why didn't they get one? All these years, they never thought they would need a birth certificate. Huh? If you want, to go to an emergency room or I don't know when you'll need your birth certificate. I don't know how many times I've needed my birth certificate. A few times in life, I've needed to supply my birth certificate. And there's been times I couldn't find it. Guess what I did? I went online and ordered it. I don't even know what it costs. $6, $7 processing fee. I don't care if it was $15. I'm not that privileged. I'm not driving a Bentley. But I know, oh, damn. Maybe if I applied for a job, I sent them my resume. You got to do that whole I-9 form. When you get a job to fill out your I-9, they need 1 or 2 pieces of ID. If you don't have your driver's license, then please bring a copy of your birth certificate and social security card. If you don't have that, bring your state ID. You have to, in order to get a job where you're going to get a W-2 or even a 1099, in some places, they need some type of ID. It's overwhelmingly stupid. It's driving me nuts.
This is fear-mongering.
It is not fear-mongering at all. It's not fear-mongering at all.
That's just a reality.
It's not fear-mongering at all.
Listen,
Jim Crow 2.0.
Scott,
they said that about the Georgia law, and what happened? Voter participation went up.
You won't answer why.
Jim Crow 2.0. And that's an insult to someone who actually had to go through Jim Crow. You're calling having to have ID is the same as white bathrooms and colored bathrooms. White water fountains and colored water fountains. That's what you're calling this. Because you're asking for my ID, that's like telling me I need to go to the colored water fountain. You guys are being ridiculous.
Here's how privacy is supposed to work in this country.
The problem.
And by the way, you have a proposal, you look at the impacts of it, and you decide whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. I think it is perfectly fair, whether you think that it disproportionately affects people of color or not, to ask the question, will a majority of Americans who want to be able to vote be able to access the documents that they would need in order to prove citizenship?
But Abby, you're asking the underlying question.
Scott pointed out the numbers. 70%, 76% of Black voters in polls they're supporting voter ID. 80% of Hispanic voters support voter ID. 83% of all Americans want voter ID. So who are these politicians actually representing? The majority or the minority? It's clearly not their own constituents. Obviously, even a 2022 Gallup poll has showed that 53% of Democrats supported it. And that's risen since 2022. Seems like to me the only people who seem to think that minorities can't handle an ID are the ones talking about it on TV. It's mind-boggling. It's crazy. Crazy. So, I don't know. Where was I? I lost my spot.
Wrong thing to do. I think it is perfectly fair, whether you think that it disproportionately affects people of color or not, to ask the question, will a majority of Americans who want to be able to vote be able to access the documents that they would need in order to prove citizenship?
But Abby, you're asking the underlying question, which is impact.
Raise questions about that.
The reason that it works this way is impact. You mentioned Jim Crow 2.0.
No,
what you just said, the words Jim Crow 2.0, so I'm going to put it right here at the moment. And that is exactly the way that Jim Crow 1.0 was born. They took laws.
Democrats were wily.
I won't finish. They took laws that were operational in the North, and they said these work on by the in the letter, but we're going to disrupt the spirit. They're going to take these laws and use them on black people in the South to disenfranchise them, and that was the effect.
Oh, that was just exhausting. So, I thought that just was an exercise in futility. It really was. Look at this. Liberals in shock after witnessing a black man get a driver's license all on his own. Look at the faces. Oh my God, he did it. Yeah, because we're capable of doing that. We are very capable of doing that. It's crazy. I want to show you this too. This is what I wanted to show you about voter ID map. This is the voter ID map, ladies and gentlemen. Everything in dark red, states that require identification. States with no identification are the light orange ones. And then look at all these states. All of these states require voter ID. And like I said, I was on a TikTok live the other day and I asked people, I said, hey, you're in Seattle. Another guy, I said, you're in Ohio, I think he was, or Virginia. I said, you currently have voter ID requirements. Why are you on my TikTok live arguing against it? Do you feel disenfranchised? Were you able to vote? And they had no problem with it. They said, no, I don't have a problem with it. No, what the hell are you doing? Is this just that you want to follow the left status quo, that you just want to, come on here and argue about it happening? You sound like Joe Biden. You ain't black. If you don't vote for me, you're not black. Joe Biden had another line that said, it's not right that you have to get online to get in line. You need to get online to get in line. Oh, man. And that reminds me of this clip that he also did that he said blacks and Hispanics don't have access to the internet. This is what Dems do. They really make us, black people, minorities, feel like we can't do anything without white help. We need white saviors to help us. It's the same vibe all the time. Don't fall for it, ladies and gentlemen. They think every marginalized group doesn't have the mental capacity to handle a website or walk into a DMV. That's like racial bias to me. It's just crazy. And this whole married women's barrier, they moved on to like married women being so too confused by name changes. Okay, like that, what ladies and gentlemen, they planned a whole freaking wedding. Do you know how hard that is to plan a wedding, to get the catering, to get the venue, the hall, hire the DJ, hire the flowers? It's a lot. By the time you hired all these people, sometimes they get a photo booth, sometimes they get a string quartet for cocktail hour. open bar, cash bar, what time's that stop? What time's that start? You mean to tell me they do all of that to plan their wedding and they can't figure out how to change their name on identification? Come on. If you change your name, you get a new passport or a new license. Add that to the list of things to do when you get married. It's not a barrier. It's just a basic qualifier. We should probably just make sure that more people in America aren't crazy. I guess that's what we need to do before they vote in our elections. I just get incensed by it. Did I have any more pictures I wanted to show you to prove our point over here on the right? Because, no. Oh, I did want to show you this. I wanted to show you the Pew Research, the poll. And just to let you know that 83%, this was 2024, 2025. And I think Pew is pretty reputable. We can depend on them. 83% of adults, 95% of Republicans, and 71% of Democrats. Other 29% are just holding out, like those two people I mentioned on my TikTok live. They're already in states that require it, and they're like, yeah, well, I don't know why I'm on here because my state already has it. You're fighting for the power. I also wanted to show you this. And I know, listen, before you yell at me, I already know that we are not other countries and we don't follow other countries because we are the superpower. All right. But I just want to show you all the countries that require voter ID. Because someone said to me when I showed them this, well, if you're going to show me other countries, then we might as well abolish the Second Amendment. I'm like, that's not why I'm showing you this. I'm just showing you this because all of these countries have democratic voting processes just like we do. Only thing they did was add an extra layer of protection by saying you must bring voter ID. Am I making sense? Most other countries require ID to vote. It's not a debate anywhere else. We're actually behind the curve. The fact that this is even a controversial conversation in the United States just highlights the absolute lunacy we're dealing with right now. I mean, at the end of the day, even Nicki Minaj agrees. You should have a voter ID card. She posted it on her Twitter. That's so if Nicki Minaj says it, case closed. If the majority of Americans want this, and it still isn't happening, what are we doing? You have to ask yourself why. What's the real reason they want this system to stay wide open? I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Drop your notes in the comments. Let me know. Keep it respectful, please. But I do love a healthy debate. And don't forget, like and subscribe. Hit that bell. I'll see you guys later.